And we welcome you back to the Montlake Cut, ready for our final event of the day, the Men's Windermere Cup. The University of Washington in lane 1, the Nottinghamshire County Racing Association in lane 2, their lightweight 8, as Washington tries to, I guess in some ways, avenge the victory, although we're not exactly head-to-head, but this was the race a year ago in the Ladies' Challenge Plate at Henley. The Huskies lost to the British national lightweight crew by a foot and spoiled what would have been a perfect season.
So the Huskies are going to be ready to go out there and show their stuff today. They're on their home course, and this is a two-boat race, just like Henley Racing. It's going to remind them of last year. I think the Huskies are ready.
Okay, now a couple comments about this race coming up. Having seen the strength of the women's national team from Great Britain, I'm going to suspect that these guys are going to be pretty tough. Now, they say it's a lightweight crew, and we got to define that. Because when they go to the World Championships or qualify in the Olympics, the average boat has to meet a weight requirement. I believe it's about 150 pounds. These guys don't make weight now. They're probably 160, 70. They love to race this way. But still, they have the strength, the stamina, and probably a little more strength now with a little extra weight and the experience. So looks like we're about underway. We are underway. We are underway, and this is the last race of the day.
Washington on the right, NCRA on the left. I like the crew the comment that Bob Ernst had about this race. He said, we have to be ready for a street fight all the way down. We have to go flat out all the way. He said, if the Brits get a half-length lead early, that may be a key that we may be in trouble.
It's absolutely correct, because like I say, one thing about these people, they've got the endurance. They're not going to give up with their experience. A little choppy down there. There's some ambient waves that are rolling across the starting line there. I'm sure that's a little unnerving for both the crews, but they're off to a fair start. The further they come down the course, the flatter, calmer, the better the water gets. I'd say we're, Betsy, what's it look like to you right now?
I say the boats are very, very close together. The Brits do not have their half length that they might have wanted. The Huskies are right with them.
Yes, we're about 500 meters. And what happens what do you tell your crews at the 500-meter mark? And then I'm going to tell you what I wanted them to say as a coach.
Well, you want to make sure you are on your rhythm. You've got to have the strokes per minute that you want settled into a nice, smooth rhythm. You've got a lot more race to row at this point. So you've got to get under control. Make sure you know where you are on the race course.
You see, right now, the crews are going into anaerobic, I guess, excuse me. And that initial oxygen blast now is gone. So their whole systems go through that second wind phenomenon right now.
Here's a look at the lineup for the Nottinghamshire County Racing Association with their 8. Lindsey Wilkinson is the Cox. Jason Keys, the stroke, a Commonwealth Games champion. David Lemon in the 7, a world champ. Mike Lozado, an under-23 world champ. Alex Henshelwood, second in the lightweight 8s last year. James McNiven, a world champ in '94 and an Olympian. Aiden Tucker, Gareth Davis, and James McGarva, all U23 international champions, and they have full experience as well. A very talented crew from the NCRA. Lenny Robertson, the coach.
We're about 1,000-meter mark now, and it's a close race. It's anybody's race. Washington has accomplished their goal. They haven't let the Brits get away on that first 1,000 meters. Now, Betsy, here we go to that third 500 again.
We've got to really dig in. The Huskies need to come up with some move here, but they're right with them. It's nice that they're able to stick with the Brits at this point in time.
A look at our lineup for the University of Washington. Bob Ernst, the head coach for this Husky program.
No problem.
The Huskies are moving into a lead here, I would say, in this third 500. They're digging deep.
Yeah, this is going to be a great part of the race for the Huskies. And it's going to be a real challenge to the Brits. I don't know what kind of race they like to row. But I know Bob, Coach Ernst, this is where he knows he's got to really put the pressure on coming into this cut.
Dick, that was the other key point that Bob talked about. He said Fox Point was one area, but he felt just before going into the cut was a place to put the throttle down.
Well, they're in command now, whether they can hold it off. You see, another thing about a somewhat smaller crew, the Brits, they can probably turn that stroke up and sprint harder, but as they're approaching the cut now, I doubt very much whether the Brits are going to be able to come back on the Huskies. I think they're looking great.
Let's hope so. I want to run down the lineup and give them their due quickly. Sean Mulligan is the Cox. Bob Cummins, a world champion in the stroke. Brett Reisinger, a senior from Kent, in the 7. Mike Chait, sophomore from Seattle, at the 6. Dave Calder, a soph from Victoria, BC, in the 5. Eric Funk, Margate, New Jersey, in the 4. Whit Hammond of Kirkland in the 3. Steve Todd from Kirkland in the 2. And Aaron Beck from McLean, Virginia, in the bow. This Husky varsity crew has won the last 7 Windermere Cups, the last 8 Pac-10s, and won its 4th straight race at San Diego this year.
Well, they're
Go ahead, Betsy.
Setting up for another Windermere victory here as they pulled ahead as they've entered into the cut. They look good. It's a hard race, but they are rowing very well.
400 meters to go, and it's a boat length for the Huskies. And with Bob Cummings in that stroke seat, he's been there before, and I doubt if he's going to let the Brits take him on here.
No, the Huskies want this. You can see they're sprinting well, they're moving their boat well and staying long here. They know this race can be theirs.
And both crews are rowing well. I'm really impressed at the length, the composure of that British crew, but that's why they're so good. All these crews are really rowing very, very well.
The Brits are composed, but maybe even too composed. It looked like in the third 500, they waited for something to happen to them, and they didn't make it happen for them, and that's when the Huskies took the advantage.
See, and Washington's continuing to increase that margin this last 500 meters.
Oh, they're psyched now. They're in their cut. They hear the fans cheering for them.
Well, and it's not only that, but the noise out here is incredible. Helicopters flying over, people on the shoreline. These people don't need to be told what to do now.
Well, Bob Ernst said this home crowd was probably the biggest advantage that the Huskies had, and I think we've seen it come into play here.
Oh, it certainly has. And you know what a glorious day. What a great regatta. Just too bad it has to go by so fast.
The Huskies coming toward the finish line, ready to post another Windermere Cup victory, and they avenged the loss at Henley with a big victory over the Nottinghamshire County Racing Association. Time for the Huskies to celebrate with that win. Betsy, Dick, what do you guys think was the key to Washington coming up with this impressive victory?
Well, I thought they kept their stroke rating under control early in the race. They were settled nicely. There was a long stretch in the first 1,000 meters where the boats were neck and neck, and the Huskies just kept their poise. They knew they could do it. They didn't get scared by having the other boat next to them. This really is going to bode well for their future races this year.
Yeah, and they've already had some tough collegiate races down at San Diego, Cal, Berkeley. They've had a lot of pressure on them this year. I would suspect Great Britain, this is probably one of their first big races of their season. It's a little early for them. But no, these guys, they got some pretty solid goals in mind, and they just showed a lot of poise. They went out and did their work. Nothing fancy, but they just ground them down.
Bob Ernst said he wanted to see his crew row as if there were not another boat in the water at all, and I think that's really what the Huskies did today. Washington wins the Windermere Cup again. They get the victory over the Nottinghamshire County Racing Association in second place.